We've got something very cool in store for you here on the Jim Masters Show. Thanks for joining us, everybody all around the world. This is your host, Jim Masters. Look who's joining us, our next guest in our epic, iconic, ongoing series here at JMS. Jason Kenzie is here, special guest. He is an award-winning and world-renowned photojournalist, animal photojournalist as well, but he's also been searching for Sasquatch, and he has an incredible series that you can watch. We're going to tell you how you can watch it, where you can see it, and more. But he's also an incredible director, film producer, award-winning film producer. He's an author, and he loves animals. He has surrounded himself with animals pretty much all his life. He's actually coming to us from British Columbia, Canada. And this is something that has been near and dear to his heart for such a long time. He's surrounded himself. He's traveled the world with animals all around him, and he's discovered some really amazing, cool things. One of the things that he's really immersed himself in, again, is this unbelievable search for Sasquatch. Yes. And you've probably heard that before, right? That word, maybe you don't even know what that means or any of the detail of it. Maybe it's just something you've heard in passing. We're going to define it all for you. He is the expert. He and his team, they go out into some really deep areas that a lot of us wouldn't necessarily step foot into, but he does it. And he's an adventurer extraordinaire. And he has been living the adventures, searching for Sasquatch. And it really is something, it's this documentary series that's really, really cool. And a lot of people are so excited that he's here on the show. So am I. And if you have had a chance to see his series, well, the documentary series titled Searching for Sasquatch streams worldwide on all platforms, including Tubi, Amazon Prime Video, and Plex TV. And he's been investigating the lore of Bigfoot and other cryptids since 2019 with only a camera and a flashlight. And he jumps headfirst into the darkness, determined to solve the mystery of Bigfoot. That's right. As an author, director, animal photojournalist who has traveled the world, immortalizing all kinds of people and their exotic wildlife companions, he has added this into his incredible mix of what he does, which is extraordinary. As I mentioned, take a look at all of the incredible episodes in the series that you can see. These are all, he's done so many shows, and there's many, many more coming out as, again, an award-winning documentarian, film producer, and so much more. But this has been something that, again, yeah, take a look at that, Searching for Sasquatch. There's all different volumes as well that you can see. This is an extended edition. Many of you who are super fans have been following along. You know exactly these episodes and these shows. This is something, again, that has been near and dear to his heart for such a long time, as he takes the camera, he takes his passion, he takes his thirst for what he does, and he shares it with all of us through the discoveries, which I think is absolutely amazing. If you're a big fan of this documentary series on Tubi and elsewhere, then it's so good to have you here. If this is your first time watching and you've always wondered about, Sasquatch, Bigfoot, what's that all about? Is it real? Is it folklore? Is it paranormal? If you have any questions at all, you can even ask a question during our show, because we are coming at you live. He's coming to us from British Columbia, Canada, live as well. Really, really cool stuff. And we're going to be showing you a few things as well. We've got some amazing things we're going to show you here on the program. But first, it is a real pleasure to welcome him to our show as we get into all of this and we discover so much coolness. It's going to be really something great. First, let's welcome our very special guest, Jason Kenzie, joining us right here and right now. Jason, welcome to the Jim Masters Show, my friend. How are you?
I'm
the photo warrior. I love it.
Yeah, thank you for having me.
The pleasure is all mine. The pleasure is all mine. I was teasing Jason before he went live, everybody. I said, I figured he'd be like floating in the ocean or Antarctica or in a jungle right now. He just cleared everything out so he can focus on our conversation.
Yeah.
You know,
I
you've
think,
been a brilliant, and I've seen some of your other work even prior to the Searching for Sasquatch series. And congratulations on that series as well, which again, people can see, on television and streaming. Uh, when you were a kid, did these kinds of things, sort of inspire you? Were you curious about wildlife, nature, things beyond the everyday? Is this something that was always pulling at you when you were a kid, Jason?
yeah, when I was a child, when I wasn't driving my parents completely crazy, because I would be the kid that would be, on the roof of my house, walking along the roof. I would be the guy jumping from the roof to the tree. My neighbors would always call the police, saying, he's at it again. He's jumping from the roof. He's I would always be picking up animals like insects and always bringing them home. So I would be the guy who would be like, Mom, look what I found. It's not moving. And my mom would be like, well, that's because it's a dead robin. So let's just put it back outside. Don't touch me. And so, yeah, I've always been fascinated with outdoors and creatures. I was always playing in the forest, in the woods as kids. You
Hmm.
know, I don't know if you remember, but back then we had no cell phones. We didn't have the video games that we do these days. So we literally had to go outside
Go
and use our
outside.
imagination to, you know, build forts and
That's
get
it,
dirty.
right?
Yeah,
Yeah, either that or you watched Mutual of Omaha's Wild Kingdom or something like
all
that,
the
the TV
time.
series,
Yeah.
right? Jack Hanna and all of those folks who sort of paved the way along the way. Jacques Cousteau, another name from the past. So you were always fascinated by this, and being there in Canada, there's a lot of interesting wildlife and pure nature up there as well. When did you start to say, not only do I want to surround myself with wildlife and animals, but I also love being a photojournalist. I love documenting these things, and I love really celebrating life and animals and what it's all about and the things around us. When did that happen for you, Jason?
So I've always loved animals. I used to have the big book of animals when I was a kid, and I
Oh,
used to read
yeah.
it all the time. And I studied a lot of the more dangerous animals, the venomous animals, the animals that were more dangerous that could do more harm to you because they're the ones that you have to watch out for. Uh, I actually started as a event and wedding photographer back in the day. It wasn't until someone came up to me at an event and said, "Hey, uh, I have a little dog. Would you take pictures of my little dog?" And back then, I didn't know that people would take pictures of their dogs, or at least pay someone to take pictures of their pets. So I met up with him and I did the photography with his little dog, and he told me some cool stories about his little dog that really touched me. And I got thinking, wow, I wonder if other people had similar stories about their pets. And then I started doing a lot of pet photography, like a lot of dogs and cats and parrots. And then one day, some guy called me up out of the blue and said, I have a caiman, like a 4-foot caiman, which is very similar to a alligator.
Hmm.
And they had it in their makeshift aquarium, like a big bathtub down in his basement. So he hired me to come down and and take photos of his caiman. And I told all my friends this was happening. They didn't believe me. And I said, okay, well, I'm going to go buy myself a video camera and I'm going to go and videotape my photo shoot. And it went really well. I should have known something was up when the guy, took me to the side and said, hey, I don't want to be on camera. So if I even think for 1 second that you've caught me on camera, I'm going to bust your camera. So I was like, okay, no worries. I made sure I just aimed it down and yeah, it went awesome. After that, I he respected me so much, and I did such a good job that he he started telling his friends that also had exotic animals. And before you know it, I had people calling me. Uh, and then I started traveling all over the place, uh, photographing people with like wolves and tigers and bears, kangaroos, bobcats, giant snakes. I photographed the world's largest spider. That was like, I think
Did
it
you
was like
really?
15 or 16 inches in diameter. So
I
when
hope
it
you
walked on
photographed
my,
that from a distance.
yeah, when it walked, yeah. Yeah, look at that cute cat coming towards me. Turns out to be, and as it walked over my arm, it was so big, and because my arm is so massive, as you can tell, that the legs were bent inwards as it was walking along the. And I have arachnophobic, right? So I'm terrified of spiders. So the whole time I'm watching this, I'm like, please, love of God, don't bite me, please.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was great.
Wow, what a challenge, huh?
Yeah.
Wow.
In
That's
fact, just
incredible.
recently, I just photographed probably, if not the world's largest snake, the second
Where was
largest.
that found?
It's in Florida, in
It's in Florida.
just on the base of the
The
Everglades.
Everglades or
Yeah, yeah.
and
It
where
was
was the large spider?
the spider was here, well,
In
in Surrey.
Canada?
Yeah, it was in Canada. Yeah,
So all of our Canada viewers, the largest spiders, not in Australia or Africa or anywhere. It's right
yeah.
there in
Come
Canada.
on down. Well, we
Come on
probably
up.
have one of the more venomous spiders out here in Canada. In fact, you have it there too. It's called the brown recluse.
Sometimes those have gotten into people's houses too. Yeah, they're very sneaky and they can be problematic, can't
Yep. And what happens is if you get bit by a brown recluse and you don't see it bite you, if you go to the hospital, right away they think that the wound is flesh-eating disease because it looks just like flesh-eating disease, like the wound, it just opens up. It's disgusting.
You're hearing so much about those lately too. A lot of people, they've been getting bitten or there's just been, sightings of them and things of that nature, which is amazing. Are you always on the hunt to find some of the more odd, lesser known, stranger things that are out there as well? Because they're every once in a while they discover something that's been around, but just people never noticed it until folks like you are out there hunting and maybe you're looking for something different, but you stumble upon this and it's like a new discovery.
Yeah, when I was in Thailand, I discovered the largest gecko colony. It was a nest of geckos. It's the largest nest of geckos ever found. I know this because I was talking to a bunch of people back uh, where we were eating, and there was a biologist that was at the table that just happened to be there studying lizards, and he overheard me talking about it and asked if I could take him to it. And when we went there, we were like practicing rock climbing. So we just climbed up and you look down and you could see hundreds of geckos. And he was amazed. I also went to Cuba to search for not just the tiniest hummingbirds in the world, but the tiniest bats.
Oh, wow.
And so here I am crawling around in these caves looking for the tiniest bat, you know. And
And you found them?
yeah, I found the bats. What's interesting is these bats are like this small.
Wow.
Yeah, they're called. They're called. What are they called? They're called bee. The bee. The birds are called bee hummingbirds. They're like really small, like this.
Tiny
And the
little, yeah.
bats. I'm trying to remember what the bats are called. The bats are called. I forget what the name of the bats are at the moment, but they're like so small. The hummingbirds. There was a guy. We had to go off road to a small village on the far side in Cuba, little tiny village where a guy for the last 30 years was feeding these hummingbirds. So when I walked into the back of his hut, because it basically was a hut, walked into the back of his place, I was surrounded by like 20 or 30 of these little tiny hummingbirds. Oh yeah, butterfly bats. That's what they're called.
They're called butterfly bats,
Yeah,
really?
and the hummingbirds are called bee hummingbirds. Yeah.
Now, will you basically go anywhere you have to go, or is there anywhere you'll be like, I don't think I'm going to go into that or explore that? You seem to be very adventurous, and you're willing to take on, that curiosity that you have, and it's for the good of all of us, because what you're doing is you're exploring and you're documenting, and then
Yeah.
you're sharing these things that the average person never gets exposure to, or if they do, they don't know what they're seeing or what it is.
Yeah.
And you can really share the information with us. You are quite the explorer. You'll take on whatever that exploration is and get there and go there.
Yeah. I will. I'll do what it has to take to get the shot that I need. Obviously, I won't. Obviously, if I think that I'm actually going to die doing it, I'm not going to do it. I was interviewing a lady in Saskatchewan that had 5 wolves as pets, and she had something like 9 acres of fenced off area for the wolves to run. And she told me, "Hey, do you want to see a wolf den?" So she took me to the entrance to this wolf den, and there was no way I was going to leave without going down into the wolf den. So I crawled down. The first time I was so excited that the first time I crawled in, I got maybe about 30 feet in. No, actually, I got in about 15 feet and realized, man, I was so quick that I didn't realize it would be so pitch dark. I just wasn't thinking. So I was able to I backed up. I turned halfway around, but then I wasn't able to, I was stuck. So I had to back up. I went and got a flashlight and then dove back down into the 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 wolf's den, and I went all the way down, and I went 30 feet down, and it opened up into this big cavern, and then there was offshoots. So then after that, I went down into another. I must have went down about 35 feet in total, and it was the most amazing experience. And with all these caves and dens and all these places, it hasn't affected my health at all.
That's it, right?
I'm totally fine, you know.
He's certainly fine. Just a slight twitch. Well, I'm sure, have you been attacked and scraped up and
Many
bitten, and
times.
have things happened
Yeah.
by anything, stung by bees? And I
Yep.
mean, I think I saw a video or something where you were covered in honeybees. You were talking about, how honeybees are sort of
Yep.
dying off, and you had the bees all over you. I mean, have
Yeah.
things happened along the way?
Yep. In fact, one of the wolves actually attacked me, and I usually wear this leather jacket. It's like a 50-year-old leather bomber jacket that you see in all my documentaries. And if it wasn't for that coat, so this wolf, it was young, and she had just got it. And I guess I did something, usually if a dog jumps up on you, wolves, they want to come up and kiss you. They want to lick you. And usually like, if you wonder why a dog or a wolf licks you in the wild, and even with dogs, when they lick you, they're basically showing you that they are as non-aggressive as possible. So when a dog jumps up on you, you're supposed to put your knee out. And then when the dog jumps up, it hits your knee and it comes down. Well, this young wolf had jumped up, and I did the maneuver where I just put my knee up, and he jumped into it, and I guess it peeved him off. And because it's a wolf, not a dog, and like I said, it was just my training with dogs, the wolf turned and came at me. It bit me in the finger, and then I went like this, and it grabbed a hold of my arm and shook it, and then the owner jumped on the wolf and pulled it off, and then I got out of that big pen. And I was, believe it or not, I was more upset thinking that my coat was torn apart. And when I looked down, there literally wasn't a mark on my leather jacket, not even a scratch, which I was so shocked. Uh, I also have stepped on a killer bee nest,
Mm.
and that was
Is
quite,
that those big Asian ones?
yeah, the big Asian
Yeah,
ones.
those big. Yeah.
If you've never been stung by one, it is extremely painful, extremely. But yeah, there's been a lot. Like I don't know, I've had a grizzly bear walk up to me and sniff my head, and I just was sitting there, not breathing, as it came up and sniffed my head, and then just kind of turned and walked away. And
That's
so that was pretty
unbelievable.
scary too.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've been attacked and
Well, you
scratched.
can see what happens, because you guys that do this kind of stuff, you're taking some real risks because look at Steve Irwin, what happened, when that was it the stingray sort of dove out of
Yeah,
the water and got him.
I,
That's
I'm actually, as I love Steve Irwin. He was
Steve
like
Irwin, I
one of
know.
my heroes. He was, so passionate about everything, about life. With that said, as of course, I wish he didn't die, but it's good that he died from a stingray and not a crocodile. And the reason I say that is if he was attacked and dragged into the water by a crocodile and killed, a lot of people would be like, well, what do you expect? I mean, you play with crocodiles and then you die from a crocodile. I mean,
Right.
kind of an idiot, right? That's what people would be thinking. They would
They
be
would
like, they would
say
be
that,
upset, but
right?
there would be would, but because he was killed by something
That just
that is unheard of,
so random like that. Yeah.
everyone was like, holy, oh my God, I can't believe, oh, and it was even more upsetting, right? So
Yes.
I don't, of course, didn't want him to die ever,
No, no, no. Yeah.
but a stingray, if you're going to go, it's like me being attacked and dragged off by a Sasquatch. Everyone would be like, well, Jason, what do you expect? You're going into the forest after a giant, monstrous creature. You're an idiot, right? Where if I get attacked by a squirrel and killed, people would be like, no, no, Jason's still an idiot.
So,
I from
since you're in the heart of this, in the thick of all of this, inquiring minds do want to know if you have a comparison, what do you find riskier, rougher, wilder, and more dangerous? Being out there among the animals, wildlife, raw nature, or being in your car during rush hour or in the department store on Christmas Eve? Which is wilder?
Well, as long as I can have my video camera going when I'm in a rush hour, uh, middle of Christmas time at the mall.
You see
If I
some
can have my
real
video
animals
camera
then,
rolling, that would be great.
two-legged animals
You know, no, I definitely would rather be in the forest,
in the wild
in
than
the wild,
versus
for sure,
the department
for sure.
store or the highway during rush hour road rage time. Um, you've really, as I said, you've traveled the world. What are some of the exotic and cool places you've been to for folks who are discovering this for the first time, Jason?
Well, one of the most amazing places I've actually gone to was, it's actually a long story, but I'll try and make it short. There was a guy who I was talking to online in Mexico that had a jaguar, like a black panther, as a pet. So they paid me to go down and take photos. So while we were driving to this area, it was on the border of Mexico and Belize. It went sideways really fast because it turned out that the people that had me come down, they didn't want me to take photos of their jaguar or their black panther. They actually wanted me to be a mule. And so at the last minute, the brother had contacted me and said, you know, it's not going to happen. This is what's going to happen. They're waiting for you and you have to abort. So we aborted it. And at the same time, I was kind of upset because I really wanted to see the Black Panther. I know, stupid. And then the guy turns to me and goes, well, I know this Mayan shaman, this Mayan, like that practices, he's an elder in the Mayan shaman. So we went to his place in the middle of nowhere in Mexico, and it was amazing. I got to hold an actual one of those rubber balls that they
Oh
use for
yeah.
their sports that they found in a construction site. And
Wow.
they had dug it up while they were digging. They found one of the balls, and gave it to him, and he was well respected. He turned to me and he said, "How would you like to go to a ruin, a Mayan ruin that no human, like white people, have gone to this Mayan ruin for 45 years?" And I was like, "Sure." So he'd taken me to this ruin. When we got there, when we got out of the vehicle, we were surrounded by all these guys with, like, it looked like submachine guns. And I'm like, "Oh my gosh, not again." And the guy walks up, he goes, "Hey, they just want a little bit of money, so we'll allow you to go onto this property of this huge." So we know Chichen Itza, right? It's very commercialized. The other side, so miles away, probably about maybe 200 miles away from Chichen Itza, is another area of the city that is half underground and half dug up. So here we are climbing up these Mayan ruins, and they're one of the largest in this hemisphere. And we're climbing up. I'm standing on top and overlooking, and you could see another ruin, another what do you call it? Like another. What I was standing on was bigger than the
Ooh,
Egyptian
wow.
pyramid. And I could see another pyramid. I could see another pyramid. I could see partial. I had a drone, so I was able to drone the area and look around, and it was pretty amazing to experience that. And that was
Yeah.
probably one of the more amazing places.
Colleague of mine was on a TV shoot in Belize, and they were filming, and they were using a drone. And the drone sort of had a mind, sometimes the drones have a
Yeah,
mind of their own. Something can distract them, or if they go over water, something can happen. And the drone went awry and went into the jungle and crashed. There was not a single, they should have had you there. There was not a single person, nobody on the crew at all, who wanted to go in there and retrieve that drone. So they came back to America with the drone somewhere in that Belize jungle, probably half eaten by now. Nobody volunteered to go in there to get that drone. They're like, we'll just have to write that one off.
the problem is the canopy is so thick. There's no way that drone would have hit the ground. It would have got tangled up, and it would be probably about 200 feet, if not more, above the ground.
So caught in the trees and all
Yeah.
the
So even
foliage,
if
right?
someone had decided to go for it, because if it was a proper drone that they were using for filming a show, it would have been a big one. It would have been
Yeah.
a big drone with. I bet you the camera that was on the drone was probably more expensive. Like
Yes.
the lens alone was more expensive than
Yes.
the drone. So they probably lost $100,000, maybe.
I would say that. So, with all of this extraordinary work that you have continued to do surrounding yourself, I mean, I think you're today's Dr. Doolittle in so many different ways because the animals, you've just got this wonderful rapport and respect for animals and insects and just nature, whether it's land, sea, or air, which I think is an incredible thing. You're living your dream, you're living your bliss. And then comes along this fascination for something that we've heard even since our childhood.
Yeah.
Bigfoot, Sasquatch. It was always an allure, always something mysterious. What is this? You hear that? You hear the Loch Ness Monster in Scotland. How did this come about where you then had, which was really great because you've got this incredible film background and photojournalism background, but you also have the curiosity, you love science and nature. How did you pair that all together to make the emphasis now and this fabulous documentary series searching for Sasquatch. What was it about Sasquatch and all of that that intrigued you to want to make it a real big thrust of your work now, Jason?
Well, I've always had a fascination for a good mystery. And growing up, even as a kid, we used to always hear about Sasquatch because I live, only about an hour and 20 minutes from Harrison Hot Springs, which is the epicenter of Bigfoot sightings in the world. Next would probably be Michigan. But it's actually started during COVID, in 2020 or 2019. Everything got shut down. We weren't able to move around. I wasn't able to film my animal adventure documentaries. And then one day I was just sitting around with a buddy of mine, Paul, and he said, I was complaining, actually. I was like, what am I going to do? I can't do my animal adventures. And he said, well, why don't you do something on Bigfoot or something on Sasquatch? Maybe it's an animal. And we all laughed at it. And then I took a step back and thought, maybe he's onto something. So I went off and I interviewed this person that had an eyewitness, and they showed me someone that I went and talked to, and I started filming and interviewing them. And in turn, they showed me to the First Nations people, and they started pointing me in an area where the Sasquatch people live. So I went deep into the forest, into the mountains, and came across this lake that had hundreds of these giant footprints that went right across this lake. And I had a drone also, and I droned the lake, and you could clearly see all the footprints going through. And on land, while I'm standing there, I could see that they had toes. And it blew my mind. And so when I brought out the documentary, it kind of just went viral, right? The First Nations people told me that I had found the migration path of the Sasquatch people that migrate from Alaska all the way to California. So that was really neat. And then after that, other investigators would call me up, and they want to fly me down, and they want me to go to their places where they had Bigfoots, and they wanted to show me the Bigfoots, and yeah, it was great. It just took off from there, and I've seen the craziest stuff in the forest. When I first started researching Sasquatch, I was a 20% believer. After about 6 years of investigating over 40 expeditions, hundreds of eyewitnesses, I'm up to about 50% believer. And the only reason why I'm 50% believer is because I haven't had a daytime sighting. I've seen crazy stuff at night. Very little, only 0.1% of the population in North America go into the forest at night. Like very few.
You're right.
Right? No one goes into the forest hiking
voluntarily, right?
Yeah, at nighttime. We're not talking campers either, because campers, you go in camping during the day, and when nighttime comes, you stay put.
Mm-hmm.
And I like to just get off the beaten path and go straight into the darkness of the forest.
How do you define for people who are hearing, we can even break this down a little bit. They've heard Bigfoot probably since childhood, but Sasquatch, how do you define Sasquatch?
They're basically the same creatures.
Same, right, exactly.
They really are. Some say that the Sasquatch people here are much bigger and taller and stronger than, let's say, the skunk ape, which is in Florida, in the Everglades and in central Florida. Allegedly, the skunk ape in Florida is meaner. It's probably because it keeps drinking all the salt water. But that's only, like, Bigfoot and Sasquatch are pretty much the same. And nowadays what's happening is now everything's crossing over. Mm-hmm. Americans are starting to say Sasquatch.
Exactly. And are they predominantly confined just to that specific region, or have there been people saying, well, we think we saw something
Yeah,
over here, or this
yeah.
country, this region, which resembles the description of that, or are they confined to a specific area?
Well, usually when the Sasquatch people travel from, through British Columbia, uh, once they get to the U.S. border, they get, their passport stamped, and now they've changed their name to Bigfoot. So as they keep, okay, that was a bad joke. But anyway, so some of the biggest places that I found is the UP of Michigan. So I've traveled in Texas. I've had some incredible encounters
Texas,
along
yeah.
the Louisiana River and Texas and Louisiana. Crazy, where we're surrounded and creatures were screaming and howling and yelling and roaring. Yeah, all around us. And we even got a photograph of one standing in the forest. Um, yeah, but the UP of Michigan, they are very vocal out there, and they come right close. And I've seen the eye shines. I've been in the Rocky Mountains of Colorado. Had some really cool activity there. I swear I got this was in Colorado in the Rockies.
What is that? Tell us what that is.
So this is a cast of a footprint, and maybe I'll hold it the right side up. But as you can see, you can kind of see the down here, the small toe, and it moves up. And then this is the big toe. And the big toe is so big because they think that it moved. And then as you can see that the heel, and then right across here is the metatarsal break. It's about 14 inches, and across is about 5 inches across, which humans, they only have about 3 inches across. So that's what makes it. I mean, I can't still tell you that this is made from a Bigfoot because I wasn't there to see it, what stepped there. But it was, I can tell you the night before, we were out in the forest, and one of the researchers was filming, waiting for us, and he was filming down the way, and we were maybe 200 yards down the mountain. We were basically walking up like a 2-track. And as we're walking up, he was filming night vision, but what he didn't see was one of the creatures poked its head out and the eye shine, and he didn't see it because it was pitch black, and he turned the camera and carried on, and then we caught up to him, and he must have walked another, I don't know, 100 yards up, and there was 2 of them looking at us, probably about 200 feet from us, behind the bushes. And
Wow.
here I am filming it, and you
Yeah.
could see them all. You could see them peeking their heads out.
Yeah.
And then that night, when we came back to camp, one of the researchers had put out a sensor behind our tent, and in the middle of the night, it went off like crazy. Went off. I could hear it stomping around behind us, and it grunted in my ear, like it
Wow.
grunted. Just I'm lying there. No one got up. Nobody. The sensor is going off, and I'm sitting there like waiting for someone else to wake up, and I'm in a tent with 2 other guys, and no one, not even the other 2 guys that had the tents outside, no one went. So that morning is when we found that footprint lying there.
Wow. That is
And it's
amazing.
so funny how we always find one footprint.
You just find the one. Well, you mentioned that a lot of people don't necessarily voluntarily go into a forest,
Yeah.
definitely not a jungle, in the evening. Well, we have a little clip here that you had sent along, and maybe you can preface this before we show it. It's a short clip
Yeah.
at nighttime, and you're doing your research. What is happening here, Jason?
So this area, I call it like the dead forest, because what you see there, all the trees look like that all the way. Like it was thousands of these trees, and there was a little bit of canopy at the top, but they just looked dead, really spooky. We had a psychic, a lady that named Robin Haynes McCrae, and she could mind speak with these creatures. And as we walked into this area, there was creatures running, and they were crashing through the forest, and we could hear them crashing, and they were taking down limbs as they were running, and we could see them peeking from behind trees. And I'm running towards, because I wanted to get I wanted to get a shot, and I wanted to get close to make sure it wasn't a human that was faking, was hoaxing us. And
Right.
no matter how fast I was running, I could never keep up, never catch up. And this psych Robin kept yelling, "Jason, be careful! You're pissing off this. It's a young one you're chasing after, and the parents are getting mad, and they're telling me to tell you to stop because you're on borrowed time, and you're scaring the young one." And so I'm like, okay, and I'm still running after it. Right? I'm still running, and you could hear them running. I'm catching it all on film. Then all of a sudden, I stopped. I said, "Okay, everyone, let's just sit down. We'll just turn off all the flashlights, and we'll listen." And so we're sitting there, and after 10 minutes, it's pitch black.
Yeah.
My ADHD got the better of me, and I
Sure.
got up and I said, "I'm just going to take a little walk." And I walked away from everyone, and I walked about. As I stood up, I thought I saw some eye shine, so I walked into that area. As I came around the corner, there, standing about 7 feet. I don't know if it was standing because I didn't see the feet, but the creature was about 7 feet, and I'm standing. My video camera was rolling, was on, but it wasn't recording.
Yeah.
And I'm sitting there trying my finger. I didn't want to take my eyes off of it, and I'm trying to find the button on the top of it, and I didn't want to look down because all the people I've interviewed, a lot of people say when they take their eyes off the creature and then go back and look, it's gone.
Then it's gone.
I was staring at it, and I finally recorded, and I'm standing there about 25 feet away, and I am shaking. And
I can imagine.
What
we have
right here.
A little video clip of this, folks. Jason, as they say, the same thing happens if you drop a 20 out of your wallet and you look away, and then you look down, the 20 is gone.
And then it's gone. Yeah.
It just happens. Here's a quick video, folks. It's about 30 seconds or so of what Jason just described. Take a look at this.
Ernie, I am looking at one right now. I'm looking at something, and it's looking at me. Yes, I've been filming him for like 30 seconds, the eye shine, and he is looking. I hope I get it. I'm fucking shaking. See, I'm thinking that as I'm standing there trying not to shake, I'm thinking that if this is really a Bigfoot creature, that if it's a young one, I'm waiting for the adults to come up behind me and just hit me on the top of the head. That's what I'm thinking. If this is what I'm looking at, I'm like, okay, I'm waiting. Remember, it is pitch black out. All I'm seeing is the light from my camera, and I couldn't see anything beside me or behind me. And so that's why I was like, so I tried to crop in, and as I crop in, you can see the shaking of it.
Mm-hmm. Exactly. Now you're working on more episodes. Let us, the viewers watching, know about the actual series, because it's an existing series of multiple episodes that are available for viewing, Amazon Prime and Tubi and more. They can actually go there and see these incredible episodes as part of your documentary series, which is really amazing. How did that all come together, where it actually is a series that turned into an ongoing series? And congratulations on that.
Thank you. Well, I originally was only going to do like the Search of the Sasquatch, the Crossing. And after that, I thought, okay, well, I'm just going to do a second one. Why not? So I did a second one, and everyone loved it. Like, everyone was like, they thought it was great. So I decided, well, I'm going to these areas to do research. I might as well bring my video camera and start interviewing people and then just film the expedition. I really love the adventure of going into the forest. I know that the talking heads, the people I interview, is very important because they lead me to the areas of where I go and investigate. But yeah, just kept going. And now I have 15 of them. And I have 2 paranormal documentaries also, which you can see at the lower right-hand side. You can see it's called Paranormal Adventures, going after the paranormal and ghosts. And now I'm going after other cryptids. Soon I will be flying out to England, to Britain, to go and photograph a giant snake, like a 30-foot snake that people said they've seen.
Wow, that's
Around
incredible. And there's something with what is it? Searching for Sasquatch 13 returning.
Yes, so I'm working on that right now. Now as we speak, I'm working on that one. So I returned to Florida, and I'm now working on that one. And I'm about to go back to Florida to do another expedition with a tracker.
Wow.
So it's a guy who used to be military, and he was a tracker for the military. So now what he does, he tracks these creatures, but he can never get so close. He only gets so close to these creatures. So he's hoping he'll bring me along to basically just start filming. So that way, maybe we'll make it close enough. But he's an amazing tracker. I've met him in real life.
That's awesome.
I've gone out with him a little bit.
Yeah.
And he's incredible. And I can't wait to go out.
We have a little clip here. We want to give people a little teaser of some of what Jason and the team are really working on, and some cool things that are coming up for, the continuation of the series. Here's a little clip from 13 Returns, Searching for Sasquatch, and then Jason will be back. Take a look at this.
The Florida swamps can be a perilous environment every step that you take. My name is Jason Kenzie. I have the distinct honor of conducting research with a team of skunk ape investigators. What we discovered on this side of the Mississippi River was the most extraordinary adventure of our lives. I've seen these red lights before, so I did what any normal blonde-haired photojournalist would do. I ran towards it. Come on. Even if it means running smack dab into a 900-pound, 10-foot tall monster of nightmare. Hey, who's there? Oh, did you hear that?
I heard it, yeah.
Yeah, there is something moving over here. I moved closer to the dense forest, hoping to see whatever was giving off the red lights. Hello? Just want to be your friend. When suddenly,
That looks really, really good.
Yeah, it's a lot of fun. It was a lot of fun.
Yeah. I mean, what is it like? How long does it take to really put even just one episode of it all together? It's got to be a real arduous process, huh?
Yeah, it takes a while. I go out there, I do the filming. Usually I go out for about a week. I have gone out for a month and a half. And then I come home, like I'm home now, and all I'm doing is editing, because I just finished filming about 5 Bigfoot documentaries and a couple paranormal documentaries. So now that winter's here, I can when it's cold and rainy outside, I'll just work on uh, these documentaries, and I'm
And
hoping everyone enjoys them.
it's not as easy as people think. You think you just come in with a camera, and you get the crew together, and everything is so perfect, and everything is so smooth, and every once in a while, things can happen, and things can go awry, and you just have to make the best of it and laugh and just go with it. Case in point.
You're so stupid. You're very stealthy. That's not it. That's not connected.
What?
Do we need like a chain going down?
Filming my Bigfoot documentaries, they don't always go as perfectly planned. But if there's one thing I love about these adventures, it's the incredible friends I've made along the way. I cherish the time spent researching with amazing people like the She Squatchers, Jen, Jenna, Tammy, and even that one guy, Chad Datemeyer, or something like that. Gwendolyn Guthrie, David Dominique, and Sherry, whatever her last name is. Just kidding. It's Barcelona. No, Bacina. No, Basuda. Barcia. Something like that. Each of them has brought so much joy and knowledge to this journey I am on. And I truly love them all.
Okay.
What's your name?
My name is fucking tired. Okay. There's no way that a big hairy beast came up here to scare someone. He's on my name. So I think that we should come tonight and just look around. I did see porcupine, lots of deer, like porcupine on grapes and stuff, like where they nibble the tracks. Lots of deer. No Bigfoots. Thank you for helping me with that big giant tree. This is her. Say, it's not connected. Okay. What do now? Should we go eat? This is the best adventure ever. Unless I'm attacked by a grizzly bear or a wendigo. I think I was just attacked by a wendigo.
A
That
little
was just out
behind the
of breath.
scenes of what he has to go through to bring you that incredible entertainment and the information and the research. But you have fun. You have some really cool people. And the She Squatches. Tell us about She Squatches for people who aren't familiar. That was a
The
cool clip.
the She Squatchers are a all female Bigfoot research team, and it was Jen and Jenna and Tammy, and they are incredible to work with. They're just so funny, and yeah, they're easygoing. They just they take it serious. At the same time, we like to laugh a lot. We laugh so hard that sometimes my stomach is in so much pain the next day. It's if anyone ever gets a chance to go out and do some Bigfoot researching, and you happen to be in the vicinity of the She Squatchers, go up and say hi and just introduce yourself. And yeah, it's great. I also work with Chad Datema and Sherry Barcia, which are awesome. They've been with me from pretty much the beginning. They all believe in what I'm doing. And yeah, it's called Searching for Sasquatch. So my documentaries are basically the adventures of trying to find evidence of these creatures.
So, which is amazing. And the other thing, too, that I think is really cool about all of this, Jason, is as much as the adults find this all interesting and fascinating, and they've maybe always wondered about these things and maybe even forgot about it, and it sort of brings it back for them, kids love watching this kind of stuff. You're educating and entertaining and inspiring kids to explore and learn about nature, appreciate what's around them. And they're probably, I'm sure you got legions of fans that are kids who love seeing these things when they hear Bigfoot or what have you. And that's really cool, inspiring the younger generations too. Right?
Yep, definitely. And I actually have right here a comic book that I actually published called Searching for
That's
Sasquatch
cool.
and the Hidden Treasure of Bigfoot Valley, which that may or may not be me right there, but that's the she squatchers. Tammy is being held upside down, but it's basically an adventure of some elite Bigfoot researchers that go into the forest looking for Bigfoot. They pass through a portal and they end up finding all this treasure, and the Bigfoot people are protecting them, and they are being, and it's made for adults and kids. Yeah, so it's something I just really wanted to share with everyone. I also did a children's book also called Adventures of Little JJ, where it's colorful, it's all for the kids. Yeah, it's just something I wanted to share with the children, get them to not be afraid about going into the forest, and just something close to my heart.
You're in it for all the right reasons, Jason. You really are. You're curious, and it's something that obviously, fills your cup. But at the same time, you're taking us on these adventures, these journeys, in our very, what's cool about it all is life is so busy now, and all this technology and all these things that we've got going on. And here you are taking us into the wild, the raw, and the things that actually exist around us that we don't normally see in land, sea, and air. And it makes us almost like kids again to be exploring along with you as we watch the series and the other things that you're doing. And I'm sure you hear that from a lot of people too, right?
I do. A lot of times people are very serious about researching Bigfoot, and I take it seriously. But to be honest, when I start joking in my documentaries, it's because I'm scared or nervous, because I'm in the forest, I'm surrounded by darkness, I'm going after these creatures that are supposed to be 9 feet, 1,000 pounds. And when I get nervous and scared, I start joking because it kind of calms me down. So it's just passionate for me to
So
try and
you're facing your own fears as you're doing it too, which is cool.
yeah.
That's amazing. I like the fact that you got the children's, the books and all of that too, because that just makes it more easier to understand in the beginning for the kids, and then they move on up to the documentary. Again, that's all on Tubi, and look at
Yeah.
that.
I actually started with Adventures of Little JJ about, animals, about a 6-year-old boy that would use his imagination to meet animal friends, to teach kids not to be afraid of animals, right? To respect them. And then I decided to do a couple Adventures of Little JJ that has to do with Bigfoot.
That is so smart. That's so important to start out the kids not being fearful and being respectful and having that relationship with them. I think you were saying that one of the toughest animals, not necessarily like a Bigfoot, but just in our daily life, for certain people who are close to them, if you come across a moose that's ticked off, you've got a problem.
Yeah, that's one of the most dangerous in Canada is the moose. Everyone thinks the bear, but it's not. The moose is so territorial. And I've come across moose many times on my journeys doing photography. and you have to respect them. Of course, you know, it isn't like I would just go chasing after a moose that had one of its calves, you know, through the forest. How the heck do they move through that forest with such big antlers? That's what I want to know.
Exactly right. Without banging into everything and busting it. It's really interesting when you see a lot, going at each other when they're fighting. Whew. That's amazing stuff, truly. But like I said, even I know we're focusing on searching for Sasquatch, but also you've had like exposure with bees and all these other
Yeah.
things. And I thought it was cool when you were covered in the bees, when you were talking about how the honeybee is slowly disappearing. We don't want that because that's going to throw off, the ecological cycle big time. Right?
So it was interesting because I was talking to a leading bee expert, a biologist that was studying bees. And I asked him that question because everyone kept saying, man, if the honeybee dies, it's going to be the end of mankind. And he actually told me something that was quite interesting. First off, he said, no, if all the bees were to die tomorrow, humans would still live. We would just live without certain foods like strawberries, blueberries, uh, certain flowers wouldn't grow. We just wouldn't have certain fruits. We'd still have meat, and we'd still
Mhm.
have fish. So it was quite interesting for him to tell me this.
Yeah, that is fascinating. It really, really is. And, that's true because things that are pollinated, you don't pollinate a cow or a pig.
No.
Right, exactly. So that makes complete sense. What are some other things that you've discovered about the work and about yourself being immersed in all of this, Jake?
Well, it's interesting that all the different areas that I've researched throughout North America, I keep finding very similar things with these Bigfoot creatures. Like I find similar tree structures, the big giant X's. I find similar footprints, uh, the sounds, the howls and the screams. They're very similar in all these different locations. It baffles me that I could be in Florida and I would find very similar tree structures in the Rocky Mountains. And they're so far apart from each other, but yet they build or they do something very similar, especially with the roars. I don't know. Have you heard the roars?
No, I haven't.
So I have these Bigfoot roars that were captured in Minnesota. I call them the Minnesota roars. They're one of the
Mm.
most amazing. So there's about 5 of them, and they're all freaking out. I'll show you the small one first. So imagine that coming out of the darkness.
Oh my God.
So I'll
Wow.
play that again.
Yeah, that's incredible.
So the next one I'm going to show, you, it has, I think, about 5 of them, and they're all freaking out. There's different howls, roars, and they sound angry. It's only about, I think, 30 seconds long. Just give it a second, it's coming. Okay, they're about to go crazy in a second. Right here. What do you think? Was that crazy or what?
It sure is. My God. It makes me think of my stomach when I'm very hungry and I haven't eaten all day. Makes a
Me
similar
too.
sound.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah,
Yes. Actually, I'm
that's
just kidding. That was actually audio of me sleeping. This is what I
that's
do when I
that's
snore.
of you. He's got just a little apnea he's working
Just,
on, right?
just
That's so, and that was captured where?
in Minnesota. So it was
Minnesota,
person.
USA. I mean,
Yeah, it was on the Red Lake Indian Band reservation, and it was captured by a First Nations, and it was in his backyard. And the roars. So the audio was given to Jen Cruz from the She Squatchers because she's Red Lake Indian Band. She's a um, and she and that audio scared him so bad
I could
that
see
he
that.
never went back into the forest, and I don't even think he left his house. And so he
Uh,
died about a year and a half ago, and we tried so hard to try and get him to to talk about it on camera, but he didn't want his name. He didn't want anyone even. He didn't want no one knowing who he was because he was afraid of being ridiculed.
sure,
So
yeah.
we went to that area to investigate, and we heard the howls. We found some really odd tree structures. It was pretty creepy at night. I've heard those roars in Texas
Have you?
when we were surrounded. Yeah. We had that analyzed by a primate specialist, and she said there was one roar in there that after it roared, it went roar, 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 roar. And she said there was no animal on this planet that can do that except for a primate.
Hmm.
So it was quite interesting, and yeah, that's in one of the documentaries. We were filming all the tree structures. At one point, I'm sitting around the campfire, and 2 hours have gone by, and there was no activity. And I stood up and said, I want to do a howl. And obviously, a couple of the researchers were like rolled their eyes and said, "Ugh, you just look like an idiot doing that. I mean, it's so stupid. It doesn't work." And I'm like, well, we've been here for 2 hours. We're sitting around a campfire in the middle of the wilderness. I'm like, just for and giggles, let me just do a howl. And so I did a howl. And no lie, as I'm sitting here in front of you right now, within 30 seconds after I did the howl, we got a blood curdling scream, like a howl behind us.
Mm.
And then right away, another one. And the one that was behind us must have been at least 50 feet and 50 feet in the forest watching us, because another one howled on the other side of us. And then the coyotes started. And I love it when the coyotes start because I can tell the difference between the coyote sounds and these unexplained creatures, these Bigfoot creatures. So it was actually a pretty cool time out there. And of course, I ran into the forest to try and get closer to, what made that howl. And, I'm still all here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. It's all there.
You're still there. I'm still intact. How about the ocean too? Diving into or fascinated by the ocean and what lies in that ocean?
So there was one time I was in the ocean, and I'm swimming around, I'm snorkeling, and I'm in Hawaii, and I'm just la 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 la. And I look beside me, and there's a turtle, like a big sea turtle beside me. And so what rushed to my head, and this is my younger years, I'm thinking, oh my gosh, I'm going to grab the back of it, and it's going to just gently glide me through the water, nice and like romantic, like you always see on TV. Well, I can grab the back of that turtle, and it went like a bullet through the water. And I'm like, oh, my mask fills up, and I'm like, oh, and it only lasted like
Suddenly
20
you're on a jet
seconds.
ski.
No, yeah, I was like, I couldn't believe it moved so fast. Like it felt like a minute, but it was probably 20 seconds. And it filled up and I'm like, I let go of the back and my mask is up and I'm coughing, hacking. And all I'm thinking is that was nothing like I thought it was, what you usually see on TV. But now I'm deeper in the water. And as I'm trying to swim back, there was reef sharks that came around. And they're quite big, those reef sharks. And so and when they come really close to you, because they're very curious, it can be very intimidating, for sure.
Yeah.
And so here I'm swimming, and I'm actually swimming backwards. Swimming backwards because I'm watching these sharks as they're coming around. And so that was pretty exciting. The Everglades, walking in the water, swimming in the water where you could see there's alligators.
Yeah.
That could be pretty traumatic also.
That can be. Yeah, I came pretty much face to face with an octopus. And we were on a trip to Bermuda, which I absolutely love Bermuda. We've been there a couple of times. And it was through a radio show that I hosted on iHeartRadio. And so we cruised, from New York to Bermuda. And then there was all these different adventures that we wanted to do independently and then as a group. And one of the things was to go on one of the catamaran. We went snorkeling. We did all of that, which was beautiful. Bermuda's just absolutely beautiful. But it was very funny because we were on the catamaran and sailing through the cove. Really, really beautiful. The water is crystal blue and you can see all the way down and just really nice. And it's warm. There was a couple that were on the catamaran, and this was a person that, well, I do this and I do that. And he's never probably even dipped his foot in an ocean, but to him, bragging and being boisterous, I'm good. So he goes into the water and we're in this cove area, some rocks and things, a little cave over there. It's very beautiful. We're all in it. And, there's the people from the catamaran are there too, in case there's any issue or something. And we're sort of moving a little bit towards this area where there's a rock that sticks out of the water, goes in, down, and I'm enjoying myself. I love the ocean. I grew up, not far from the ocean, and the ocean is a go-to place for me. This audience, and even before I started this series, people have heard me say that it's grounding, it's nurturing, it's the tide, it's just an ongoing thing that I have a love affair. I know the ocean can really be dramatic and angry and all the things, but usually it isn't because of itself. It's usually weather and other things that churn it up. But if you leave it alone, it just does what it does.
If you don't respect the ocean, it can take you.
It just it does what it does. So we're going in, and and the water is not super deep there. And I'm going to go over here and I'm going to go see. This is what the other guy was saying. I'm going to go see what's behind that rock. So, so he goes, and I'm going, and the others are going, and we're looking in a little bit. And all of a sudden, he turns white as a ghost. And this guy who is so boisterous doggy paddles his way incredibly fast, probably as fast as that sea turtle waddled back to that catamaran, and he couldn't get up that ladder quick enough. So I go and look, and what he saw that I saw up close was an octopus right there looking right at you, which was behind the rock.
Really?
And it was there. And I knew you don't, number one, go towards it, and you also don't show fear. You just gingerly get out of there, which is what we did. We just sort of gingerly get out of there. The guy dissolved from being this boisterous, I've done this and I can do this. So let's go. He's the one that wanted to look behind the rock. We're like, you sure? Maybe you shouldn't. You don't know. You don't live here. These things live here. And I came face to face with the octopus. We said hello. and he wasn't interested right now, and I wasn't interested, and we just sort of. But this guy, he could have used that sea turtle to get out of there quick, and he was quiet the rest of the trip on the catamaran. Have you come close to an octopus? I'm sure you probably have.
Yep. Yeah, I have. They usually they speed off when they leave you alone. I once tried to follow a cuttlefish, and the cuttlefish is like a master of disguise as well, and you just move your eyes and it's gone. I haven't had any big problems with octopuses, stingrays, and jellyfish. I've had some bad experiences with jellyfish, like the man o' wars.
Those are, and we saw some of those in Bermuda as well. Merlin is watching in Ontario, and Merlin probably, as she's watching, hearing these stories, especially about, the things we're talking about in Canada, even though she's in southern Canada, she probably has her shades down, her doors locked, and her alarm system on so nothing gets in as she's watching the show right now there in Canada. However, she did ask, have you ever seen the giant octopus off the coast of British Columbia? I guess there's one hanging off the coast of British Columbia, a giant octopus.
Yep, there's one. So I've done scuba diving. So there is one that is not too far from here. You just drive to Porto Cove and you can dive down into there, and it's by a ship, and it lives there. It's a pretty big octopus. I've only seen it once.
Yeah,
it's pretty amazing.
That's all you need.
Yeah, exactly.
She also asked too. You mentioned the sounds. The noises. What you were playing earlier.
Yeah.
Do you ever hear them during the day? Is it just a night thing generally?
So that's interesting that you say that too, because I was in Oregon last summer, and Chad Datema and another couple guys, they went into the forest, and during the day at 12 noon, and they got roared at, the same kind of roar as I played to you. It roared at them, and they got so scared they left. And they went back, I think, the next day, and the same thing happened. And so we went there, and we spent the night in that same area. And last summer, we were camping literally only like 2 or 3 miles away from North America's biggest wildfire. We could see the smoke, we could see it was all smoky and whatnot. And in the morning, we actually heard a roar. It's just so funny. It's one of the first times that I've heard audio, heard these creatures make any sounds during the day. Mostly it's at night, under the cover of the dark.
Absolutely. What are some other things that are on that bucket list that you still want to do and explore and add on to this repertoire of great things you're doing now, Jason?
So we're planning to do an expedition to an area in Alaska where these Bigfoot creatures are way more aggressive and they're much bigger. And we're working on getting funding, and we're planning that expedition next summer. It's going to be a 2-week expedition into the deep forest in this area of Alaska. I'm also going to be doing some other projects. I can't really say what they are at the moment, but I'm going after other cryptids like the Jersey Devil or the Mothman. I'm not really into the water monsters like Loch Ness and Ogopogo. A lot of it is I love the water, but the whole documentary would be just filming over top of the water. I mean, I would go into the water, but I don't know. I'm just not into the water monsters. But I don't mind, exploring forests and I want to do an expedition on the flying dinosaurs of New Mexico. So that'll be something I'll be looking into. And then
I
Europe, going into
hadn't
Europe.
heard of them, and I've heard of flying squirrels, but flying dinosaurs? Yeah, tell us about that.
Yeah, they call them the Parasaurus, and they're these giant. They're like, yeah, they're just giant, like pterodactyls, and they're massive, like 30-foot wingspan. And I'm going to go to a First Nations area where they say that they see them all the time. And then we're going to pinpoint an area where, because obviously they're going to be nesting up high. So we're going to find an area where there's canyons, and then we'll make our way up onto the bluffs and see if we can find any evidence of these creatures.
Now, you've been doing this a long time, and you're very skilled at it, and you're dedicated, and you take it seriously, even though you have fun along the way to make it an adventure. What do you say to anybody who says, this is all Hollywood. I don't believe any of this. The Bigfoot, blah, blah, blah. I don't believe any of these things. I don't see it in front of me, so it can't be real. I have to see this in front of me for it to be real. What do you say to people like that who are just unsure, or they don't have the information, or they just pass it off as fantasy or what have you?
Well, each their own. Everyone has their opinions. Everyone has their beliefs. Like I said, when I first started, I was a 20% believer. The thing is, if you don't go take a walk in the forest at night, there's things that come out in the darkness that I didn't think. Like, I have seen the eye shine. I've seen these creatures or whatever they are coming out, peeking behind trees, roaring at us, screaming at us. There is something out there. I just have not had a daytime sighting. So I just want to say, don't have such a closed mind until you go out there and experience it yourself. And when that happens, run.
Don't go into the forest saying, well, I don't believe it, and let me go check. Leave it to the experts like Jason, who will check for you.
I'll run for you.
He'll do the running for you.
I got some great running shoes.
Well, he knows now that if he needs to get away from something in the ocean, he'll hang on the back of a sea turtle. What would you hang on to the back of in the forest? One of your colleagues?
Well, I've rode an ostrich, and I've jumped on the back of a 600-pound pig.
You rode on an ostrich?
Yeah, I rode an ostrich. Yeah, I was doing a photo shoot with an ostrich farm. And
sometimes they can be a little finicky too, right? They don't always want to be bothered.
Yeah, they're over 9 feet tall. And so I asked the owners, I said, hey, I'm taking pictures. I'm like, hey, can I jump on the back of this? I've always wanted to ride an ostrich. And the owner's like, really? I said, yeah.
He says, what do you think? This is a horse?
Took me 3 times, 3 tries. Finally, the fourth one was like.
And he was able to hold you, huh?
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
They're very strong.
They're extremely strong. A lot of people think they're not, but yeah. And
they are, yes. As are kangaroo, too. They really, they like to box, the kangaroo. Have you come across kangaroo, too?
Yep. I've had a kangaroo try and gouge out my stomach. I was doing a lady that had a pet kangaroos. And yeah, they can be very friendly, and then they can turn on a heartbeat, just like a cat. 1 minute they're enjoying your petting, and next minute they'll grab hold of you, and then they'll balance on their tail. They'll come up with their hind feet, and they'll take out your stomach. And ostriches do the same thing. Ostriches will take their feet, and with their sharp talons, they'll actually take out your stomach. Yeah.
Even an elephant, if you don't respect the elephant will come charging. People think, oh, it's an elephant, it's going to move slowly.
Yeah.
They move when they have to, when they feel threatened. Any animal,
Same with tortoises. Like tortoises, they can move.
We've seen some snapping ones in Florida. Yeah, we saw some snapping. They have the little green ones too, and we all had those as kids, but the snapping ones, sometimes they sit there on the edge of a lake or something, and people want to go up and give them something to eat. And no, those are not the ones that you just let them sit there, because they will move fast.
They move so fast. It's crazy. It's much faster than when first time I saw a turtle, I'm like, hey, look at the turtle. Oh my God. Boy, that moved very fast.
That's not what you think, right? The tortoise and the hare.
Exactly. No wonder. They should change that story.
Right. I want to let folks know that this, amazing series and everything that he does, and then some, can be seen on Tubi, Amazon Prime Video, and Plex TV. The documentary series titled Searching for Sasquatch, streaming worldwide, where we are on these platforms too. And he's had the love of Bigfoot for a long time. With the camera and the flashlight, he jumps in headfirst into the darkness, determined to solve the mystery of Bigfoot, but much more, not just Bigfoot. As we've been talking about today, traveling the world, he has discovered so many other magical things about the life around us in the darkness and in the light. And it's really something very, very cool. And again, Tubi and all the rest. So we have Tubi. We love Tubi. All of these are available for your viewing, and he's working on more. So this was really a cool conversation, Jason. I'm so glad you connected with us and wanted to be on the show. And it's fascinating work that you do. You're a science buff. You're a nature lover. You're an adventurer. You're a producer. You love film and creativity. You love photojournalism. You love animals. And you found a way to marry all of those passions together into this cool work, and with topics that sort of fascinate us, but we would never have the time or the tools or, sometimes even the gumption to go searching, but you're doing that for us. And it's a pleasure to have an opportunity to chat with you and learn so much. And you do it with humor, and you've got the kids involved with the kids' books and all. And I think that's such a cool thing. I want to just show you a couple of things people are saying. Merlin in Canada says she saw the Tasmanian devils, koalas and kangaroos in Tasmania. The Tasmanian devils.
That's cool. That's really cool.
Sherry's one of our faithful in Kansas and USA. She says, thank you for being here tonight, Jason, and for sharing your adventures. I love that. Mothman. I can't wait to hear what you come up with on him. Good luck with your future adventures as well. Kathleen is in New York City. Thanks for being here, Jason. Very interesting conversation. Good luck with all you do. And everybody that's commenting, we thank you so very much. And don't forget to drop a comment, below as well. We would absolutely love for you to do that and interact with us. Have you seen anything in the forest or flying above you or in the ocean that you're fascinated about? Come see us again, my friend. This is really cool. We've been showing too lifethroughmylens.ca, which is really a cool site. You got all of this great stuff for people to discover, and I encourage people to go check that out as well. And I hope you enjoyed the time with me as much as I absolutely have with you, my friend. This was a pleasure.
Thank you. I've had a great time, and I look forward to being on your show another day, another time. Until then, everyone, I'll say goodbye.
That's it, right? Come see us again. Spread the word about our show, Jason. And truly, I hope you enjoyed the time as much as I have with you. Maureen's in Arizona. Arizona has its own things, scorpions, and
I did research on the Ohio grassman.
Did you?
I see that Curly is in Ohio.
Wow.
And that was fascinating. That was some great footage. You guys will enjoy that one.
They're happy that you're doing the footwork, so they don't have to. Really an amazing show and fun, and thanks for being here. Come back again. I don't know if you've ever been to that part, but Jane is over in Sweden watching. Have you been to Scandinavia and explored up through there yet?
I'm going to Sweden next summer to do something on. I don't know what's the creatures out there. I'm actually coming out to Sweden, like I really am. So reach out to me. I need some help in finding some of these
Some of the
creatures.
things that stand out there, right?
So
Yeah,
so
every part of the globe has something to discover. Australia, of course, in the outback certainly has plenty to, and New Zealand,
yeah,
plenty to discover. Yeah. Cool stuff, my friend. Congratulations on everything and on the series and everything that you're doing. Really, really cool stuff. Thanks for your generosity of time and coming to see us and sharing all of it with us here on the Jim Masters Show series, Jason. You're a new friend of our show, and we appreciate it. And spread the word about our show too. It takes, as you know, it takes a village, right?
it does. It does. And just everyone enjoy my documentaries and my humor that comes
That's
along with
it.
it.
Absolutely right. Thanks again for being with us. It was truly a pleasure.
Thank you.
You be well, Jason.
See you later. Bye.
Bye-bye. Fade to black, right? There he goes. And wow, very cool stuff. And we enjoyed ourselves here. And if you did as well, hey, something we would love for you to do. And it's really important. It helps us continue to grow. Give this episode a like. There's a thumbs up icon right next to the episode on the YouTube channel. Click thumbs up, like, share this on your social media, subscribe to our YouTube channel, which is what you're watching now, Jim Masters TV, where there's hundreds of episodes, and drop a comment right below, right there, right below this episode that you're watching right now. Drop a comment. Did you find this fascinating? Was there something about this episode that stood out? Did you have any questions? Have you gone on sightings and searching for things like what Jason and his team does? Have you seen his series too on Tubi and Amazon Prime and Plex TV, Searching for Sasquatch? It's an ongoing series, documentary series that he produces and films. And but yeah, tell us what you love about our show. We love when you leave comments right underneath the episodes in the comments section. Interact with us, and we thank everybody who does that. We've been seeing a lot of comments lately, and that is such a wonderful thing. We really, really appreciate that. We also thank Jason for joining us here on the show. So again, like, comment, subscribe, share, and yeah, just have a good time with us here on the show. Jason, Kenzie, Searching for Sasquatch. He is an award-winning and renowned animal photojournalist, author, director, film producer, and he's having a good time with his team, searching and searching. And obviously, he loves the animals. And some really cool stories too, and some great video. If you joined us late, we had some really cool video, and he played some really interesting sounds. I tell you, you know, the Jim Masters Show, we give you everything, right? This is a entertainment, lifestyle, celebrity talk show series where we don't just have one type of thing. We have something, boom, for everybody. Again, the name of his series is Searching for Sasquatch. Check that out. If this is your first time here watching the Jim Masters Show, come see us again. We welcome you to the Jim Masters Show family, where folks around the world come together, and we have great guests from all different backgrounds of life and celebrity friends, special guests, and our topics are incredible, you know, from Hollywood people to musicians and actors, actresses, and authors, and chefs and sports people, and so much more. There's that series. Look for that. And yeah, it's like a talk show series, free flowing, not scripted, conversational, warm, fun, and interactive with all of you. We love having you here. And come see us again. Spread the word about our show. One more time, we thank Jason for being here on the show. And of course, we thank all of you for being here on our show as well. This is your host, Jim Masters, thanking you for your time this time. Till next time, come see us again. Don't forget to love one another, take care of one another, and do the very same for yourself. What an adventure we were on together on this cool episode with Jason Kenzie joining us. Lots more great episodes coming up. Working very hard behind the scenes to give you the best we can here on our entertainment, lifestyle, celebrity talk show series. And boy, we've been putting out episode after episode, and it's a pleasure. We love you all. Take care and be well. See us again. Cheers.